And I now give the floor to the representative of Sudan.
I thank you, Mr. President. At the outset, I'd like to renew our congratulations to you on assuming the presidency of the Security Council for this month. We wish you success in guiding the Council's work, and we confirm my country's full readiness to cooperate constructively with you on all relevant matters. I'd also extend our appreciation to Ms. Nazhat Shamim Khan, Deputy Prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, for the briefing she delivered to the Security Council today pursuant to its resolution number 1593. Excellencies, the Republic of Sudan wishes to reaffirm in the clearest of terms its steadfast commitment to the principles of justice and accountability, particularly with regard to the most serious crimes of concern to humanity, including war crimes, crimes against humanity, and the crime of genocide. Achieving justice has remained a central objective of the Sudanese state. It is a commitment repeatedly affirmed by the country's leadership in the person of the President of the Sovereignty Council and the Prime Minister. This stems from the firm conviction that combating impunity, providing redress to victims, ensuring reparations, and strengthening the rule of law are all the fundamental pillars for achieving a lasting and sustainable peace. Based on this, the government of Sudan continues to exert every effort possible to achieve justice in Darfur out of its belief that peace and justice are complementary and interdependent paths. Mr. President, allow me to focus on the following points. First, the terrorist rapid support forces have committed and continue to commit grave violations and horrific atrocities against civilians in Darfur and other areas in Sudan. These actions include killings on ethnic grounds and systematic, widespread attacks against unarmed civilians, including women, children, and the elderly, and deploying drones to attack cities and critical infrastructure. The entire world has witnessed the heinous crimes perpetrated by these militias in El Geneina in western Darfur and El Fasher in northern Darfur. And now, these militias are seeking to replicate the same scenario in the city of Al Ubaid in North Kordofan. In this regard, we welcome the press statement issued by the Security Council on the situation in Al Ubaid. We also welcome the resolution adopted by the Human Rights Council condemning the militia's actions in North Kordofan. Mr. President, there is no doubt that these crimes fall squarely and entirely within the subjective and territorial jurisdiction of the ICC. This requires expediting the completion of the required legal procedures, bringing charges, and issuing arrest warrants against those responsible for these crimes. Some of the perpetrators of these crimes have not only committed them, but have also documented their actions themselves and broadcast them openly in a blatant defiance of justice and with utter disregard to the rights of victims. Any unjustified delay in taking these steps will send the wrong message to the perpetrators and would undermine confidence in the ICC at a time when victims are looking for tangible measures that enhance accountability and deter the recurrence of such crimes. Second, the crimes committed by the RSF militias have reached such a level of brutality and bellicosity because of the military, financial, logistical, political, and media support and sponsorship and backing it has received from the Abu Dhabi regime. Therefore, the requirements of justice demand that investigations include everyone proven to have been involved in financing, supporting, facilitating, or inciting the commission of these crimes, be they leaders or entities or parties that are Emirati or neighboring countries that have become involved in the UAE's unjust aggression against Sudan. Here, we welcome the statement issued by the European Parliament last week, which explicitly condemned the UAE's role in fueling the war and undermining stability. We call for the investigations to include those who incite crimes against civilians, the rape of women and girls, or anyone who justifies these crimes or supports their perpetrators, regardless of where they reside or where they are located, as some of these individuals reside in European countries. Genuine accountability is not limited to the direct perpetrators, but also extends to all of those who have contributed to the planning, to the deployment of foreign mercenaries, to financing, or facilitating the aggression. Third, based on the fact that achieving justice in Darfur is considered a top national priority, the government of Sudan continued its cooperation with the ICC in accordance with Resolution 1593 and the Memorandum of Understanding signed between Sudan and the ICC. Here, a delegation led by the Attorney General of the Republic of Sudan and comprising all of the members of the National ICC Liaison Office. This delegation visited the Office of the Prosecutor and the ICC Court from the 11th to the 12th of December 2025. During that visit, the delegation held a series of intensive meetings with various departments and divisions of the Office of the Prosecutor, during which they discussed the existing challenges and appropriate solutions for them. A detailed program of work for the subsequent phase was also agreed upon, and Sudan remains committed to implementing it. During the reporting period, Sudan received 4 requests from the Office of the Prosecutor, all of which were answered with no delay, despite the fact that some of them are related to incidents and events in areas of Darfur that are currently difficult for the relevant national institutions to access due to the security situation. As part of the ongoing cooperation, the National ICC Liaison Office arranged a visit by a team from the Office of the ICC Prosecutor to Sudan from the 27th of March to the 4th of April of the year 2026. The team visited a number of IDP camps and met with several witnesses and victims. Moreover, additional arrangements are currently underway to facilitate further interviews with witnesses relevant to the investigations. Fourth, despite the fact that more than 2 years have passed since the Al Junaina massacre was perpetrated and more than 8 months have passed since the large-scale crimes were committed in Al-Fashir, and despite the availability of testimonies, evidence, and documented facts, the ICC has yet to issue arrest warrants against those suspected of being responsible for these crimes. This delay causes serious concern and sends a negative message to the victims and their families. Moreover, it entrenches the sense that the perpetrators have that they can enjoy impunity, which would encourage further atrocities and violations. Had the necessary judicial measures been taken with the speed previously indicated by the court before this council, such measures could have served as an effective deterrent preventing the recurrence of crimes in other parts of the Sudan. Mr. President, Sudan reiterates its full commitment to cooperating with the ICC within the framework of Security Council Resolution 1593 and a Memorandum of Understanding signed between the Sudan and the ICC in 2021. The government of Sudan continues to fulfill its obligations and to show cooperation and provide the cooperation, information, and facilitation required in the support of justice and the interests of the victims. We expect this to be met by serious and effective action on the part of the Office of the Prosecutor and the ICC, so that the lengthy investigative periods are translated into concrete legal measures against those responsible for crimes committed in Darfur. Justice delayed is justice denied. Justice delayed may even encourage perpetrators and their supporters to continue committing further atrocities against innocent civilians. Therefore, expediting accountability procedures and issuing arrest warrants against those responsible for these crimes has become a necessity. It has become an urgent matter in service of justice and for the protection of civilians and to preserve the credibility of the International Criminal Court, a credibility that is now being put to the test. Mr. President, before I conclude, perhaps it is surprising for the distinguished representative of the U.S. to repeat claims on the fact that the Sudanese armed forces are using chemical weapons. We'd like to note that the government of the United States has been unable to provide any evidence to support this claim, not to our embassy in Washington, D.C., not to the OPCW in The Hague, and where Sudan and the U.S. have membership in the executive bureau of that organization. Therefore, it might be useful, Mr. President, to issue a reminder that the United States of America has a record in making such claims. The American government in 1998 destroyed a medicines factory in Khartoum in Sudan under the guise that and claim that this factory was producing chemical weapons, the same claims that we heard today. And it was later proven that that claim was false, and the U.S. Compensated the owner of the factory financially. The members of the Council do not forget that a former U.S. Secretary of State had very confidently spoken in front of this very Council and said that a certain country owns WMDs. And that was an excuse to invade that country before it became clear later that these claims were unfounded, but it was too late at that point. Therefore, Mr. President, the Sudan calls for dealing with such claims with extreme responsibility and objectivity. The Security Council must always be guided by the facts and by verified information, not by claims that lack any basis or foundations. I thank you.